Chapter 8, Memory Aids to Boost and Improve Your Memory. Just a note. Guys, I wrote a study skills book. I'm very proud of it, and I just decided I'm going to read it and maybe just give it away for free. You can check in the show notes a playlist that will go through all the other chapters. So let's get started. Chapter 8. One of the very exciting discoveries made about the brain is the concept of plasticity. Plasticity basically means that the brain has the ability to change physically, functionally, and chemically as a result of experience. In her book, Healthy Brain, Happy Life, Dr. Suzuki describes an experiment in which they tested the theory of plasticity. They decided to test taxi drivers in England who were studying for their license. Each driver had to memorize a huge number of street names. What they found was that the hippocampi of the drivers that passed the test was physically larger than the drivers who failed. The good news for us is what we all have the ability to improve, stimulate, and strengthen our brain. Stimulating the brain with new information and experiences creates a new connection and grows existing ones. On the other hand, when you deprive your brain of new stimulation, it actually shrinks in size. The theory of plasticity is exciting because it calls into question a belief many had for years that once you get to a certain age, your brain is fixed. We all continue to expand our knowledge and improve our brain with proper stimulation. When I was a beginning teacher, I remember driving home at the end of the day thinking, I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. Fortunately, a veteran teacher introduced me to several teaching techniques. At first, it was overwhelming because there were over 75 strategies to choose from. Again, the veteran teacher came to the rescue and suggested the best strategy was to master a small number of strategies instead of being a novice on dozens of strategies. For 2 years, I had about 5 strategies that I used over and over again. The strategies made learning fun and effective for my students and helped me improve as a teacher. Over the years, I have expanded my strategies and rotated in new ones. By limiting the number of strategies I used at first, I was able to master a few strategies instead of being average at many strategies. This helped me become a very effective teacher. In the same way, we are going to focus on a small number of memory techniques. I will teach you the memory techniques that I have found to be most helpful in learning new material from almost 25 years of teaching. You will benefit from mastering a select number of memory techniques as opposed to knowing a little bit about a large number. Okay, up first, 7 memory techniques. Try to master 2 or 3. Technique number 1, the journey method. This memory technique can be used to memorize lists or events that occur in a sequence. Honestly, with practice, you can apply this to just about anything you need to memorize. Here's how it works. You pick a route that you travel in your life. The route can be as simple as your trip to the kitchen each morning. At first, you may need to write the route down. As you travel the route, in your mind, you try to come up with stops and landmarks along the way to remember a list of items. Whether these are people, events, experiments, or even steps for solving a math problem, you will associate these things or representations of these things with the stops on your journey. Let's look at a real-life example. When I used the journey method to memorize the presidents. When Barack Obama was sworn in as president, he became the 44th president in the United States. I've tried several times to memorize the names in order of all the presidents of the U.S. I would print out the list of presidents, start down the list, but quickly feel overwhelmed and quit. After reading about the journey method of memorizing, I wanted to try an experiment and see if I could learn all the names using this method. Here's a quick overview. The first item of business was to print the list of all the presidents. No problem. Next, I needed to come up with a journey or route. I run almost every day, so I picked a favorite running route. I crudely drew the route and tried to come up with 44 landmarks. I soon discovered that 44 landmarks was just too many locations, and the route was too long. I've had some success with chunking items, which is breaking up a large group of lists into smaller ones. For example, you can break a list of 50 items into 10 groups of 5 or 5 groups of 10. I've decided to chunk the list of presidents into groups of 10. This made it much easier to begin to remember. The next part was a little tricky. My knowledge of the life and times of the early presidents was limited. Therefore, I had to be creative in associating the president with the landmark. At first, I had no idea how to relate the president's name to a landmark, But after brainstorming for 5 or 10 minutes, I slowly thought of some creative ideas. For instance, I imagined my son Adam at the second landmark for James Adam, the second president. At the third landmark, representing Thomas Jefferson, I had $100 bills. I continued this for the first 10 presidents. This took about 15 minutes, but I pretty much had the first 10 presidents memorized. I repeated this for the next 4 sets of presidents. The last 15 presidents were the easiest to associate with landmarks because I actually knew something about their presidents. By the time I got to my third set of 10, I was much better at creating these associations, and it actually became pretty fun. Like anything you memorize, you still need to review your routes and presidents several times in order to move all 44 presidents into long-term memory. Technique 2, create a mind map with pictures. I particularly like this because I think in pictures. A mind map is a simple technique that allows you to visualize and draw what you're memorizing. To create a landmark, you begin by drawing a circle and write your topic inside of it. Next, you draw spokes from the circle that explains the main topic. You can then draw branches from this spoke. Also at this point, you can draw pictures to support the idea. It helps if the pictures are funny, absurd, or outlandish. Can't say that word. Repeat this process for additional branches and make each branch a different color. And also leave in the show notes links to 2 things that will help you. Technique 3, create a sentence or a story. This technique is a combination of the journey method and mind map. It can be very effective in memorizing short lists or diagrams. I will give you an example. Imagine you are memorizing the 4 organelles of the cell: cell membrane, mitochondria, ribosome, lysosome. If you know nothing about these, that's okay. First, you define the role or purpose of the organelle. You create a story in which each organelle is doing their job. Here's an example. I'm writing today at Starbucks, so I'll create a story about the cell getting coffee. A cell waddles into Starbucks. He oozes in rather than walks with this outer covering called the cell membrane protecting him. He says, I need some sugar because my mitochondria stopped making energy. Can I have a coffee with extra sugar? The employee says, that will be $3. Can I pay with protein? I know, a bizarre story. Why, yes, says the employee. The cell orders the ribosome to make 3 proteins. Instead, the ribosome makes 5. The cell asks, what should I do with the extra 2 proteins? Mr. Lysosome says, I'll take them. I'll break them down so we can reuse them later. I know, a bizarre story, but it will help you memorize things. The cell membrane protects. The mitochondria, I know, makes energy. The ribosomes make protein. And then the lysosome recycles things. By taking a little extra time in creating a story, you will remember the information later. Creating a sentence or a story can be fun and very powerful because stories tend to be easier to remember. Technique 4, focus, hook, recall. In order to memorize new material, get in the habit of practicing these 3 steps. First, you need to focus. Eliminate factors that dilute your focus. The enemies of focus are distractions and dividing your attention. Try to condense the material you are learning to the essential information. Also, focus on how the material is related and builds upon itself. A hook is a simple trick to help your brain remember information. For example, when learning someone's name, a hook would be associating the name with one of their features. A girl named Sandy with brown hair allows you to associate the name with the hair color. In order to hook your information, use a method such as pictures, visualizing, songs, sentence creation, graphic organizer, or any other technique you use. Finally, practice recall by testing yourself with active recollection. This can include creating mini quizzes, telling someone else the new information, and answering questions about the new material. Convert your notes to note cards and review them. The nice thing about note cards is that they are easy to transport. Also, as you write the information to note cards, your brain is learning the material. Adding pictures and illustrations to the note cards will help. Technique 5, linking ideas. You can memorize a list by linking the ideas together with a story in which one event connects to the other. Let's say you have a short list: keys, watch, wallet, passport, bug spray. A red car is your anchor story. You go to your red car and insert your keys in the door. In your car is a clown who asks for your wallet. you notice that the clown has a huge watch on their wrist and a passport in their shirt pocket. You think fast and spray the clown with bug spray. You can memorize states and countries by creating a story. For example, Georgia, Maine, Tennessee, Utah, and Michigan. Okay, George is George Washington, Maine is man, Tennessee is 10, Utah is unicycle, Michigan is Mimi, my grandmother's name. Next, you create a story like you did before with an anchor for each event connecting to one another. The anchor is a swimming pool. While sitting at the pool, you see George Washington in a bathing suit talking to a man with 10 heads riding a unicycle, and Mimi is serving them cupcakes. A bizarre story, but I promise it will help you remember your list. Okay, 2 more. Body stations. Use your body as a prop to help you memorize facts or key points. You will memorize them by using 10 parts of your body, starting at the top of your head and working down. The top of your head, your eyes, nose, ears, teeth, throat, shoulder, collarbone or clavicle, stomach, and then finally your seat. Okay, your buttocks. Next, you will visualize each item or object or item from your list at each of your body stations. I'll give a quick example. I memorize the states that start with the letter A. They are Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. Alabama is famous for football, so I balance a football on my head. I have goggles on my eyes to protect me from the Alaska snow. I put sunscreen on my nose for the Arizona sun, and I listen to Bill Clinton speak in Arkansas because he's from there. The stories and visuals help you memorize material and can work for long lists. And last but not least, memory palace. This memory technique has been used for years by memory masters. It is similar to using your body as a prop to remember items, but instead of using your body parts, you use different rooms and objects in each room as visual props to help you remember items. You can keep adding items, new rooms, and props to your memory palace. I'll use the 4 states as a small example. My palace is my house. In my kitchen, I will use the bar, fridge, lamp, and TV. I will visualize a football on the bar for Alabama. The fridge is cold for Alaska. The lamp shines like Arizona. And once again, Bill Clinton is speaking on the TV. Just another way to memorize. So, in summary, use memory techniques in order to memorize key points, lists, locations, and any other item you need to memorize. Using these techniques is more effective than just rote memorization. It can be fun and allows you to be creative while memorizing. And the 7 strategies that I went over: journey method, mind map, sentence or story, focus, hook, recall, linking ideas, body stations, and a memory palace. Thanks for watching, and remember, kindness multiplies kindness. Be kind to someone today.